Alright everyone, it's time to defend Bill Maher because he's been a voice against social justice warrior political correctness for years now. He has never taken up their hardline pro-censorship, pro-police state stance that all of these lily-white gated community college trust funders do, or these BLM hoodlums that pretend that they represent other black people who just want to be left alone. They want actual reform, and they're never going to get it as long as BLM is a significant movement. Sort of like feminism, Pussy Riot's not going to spread feminism throughout the world. They're going to make it look bad. And Maher tries to warn you about these things. He's the best friend that the actual left has, and if they listen to him, they might actually get their way from time to time because people could stomach their vitriol. But, you know, they're trying to crucify him right now. He was on Real Time giving an interview. And I won't repeat it here because I know full well that there are plenty of people who would like to, you know, focus on that segment, maybe get the video taken down or something if I do. You can look it up for yourself. Just look up Bill Maher and filter for the last 24 hours of results. What do you think you're going to find? He used a racial slur to describe himself as opposed to all of these other issues. When the social justice warriors get mad, they're talking about like Nugent or something like that. They're talking about people making vague threats or insulting people who are external to themselves. That is, they're being bigoted towards somebody else. They're saying something off color about somebody else, some left-wing politician, some corporate figure that the left for some reason happens to like Elon Musk or something like that. Somebody else gets targeted and they get offended. Now they pretend that it's like aimed at them collectively, like it's some sort of big problem. It's the perpetual outrage culture, really. But Maher wasn't referring to anybody else. He was referring to himself with his little joke on Real Time. Again, look it up for yourself. I'll put a link in the description. I'm not going to say it on my channel because I know full well there are plenty of people who'd love to censor me. Oh, trust me, they'd love to. But, it's there for the world to see. It's not even offensive. He's joking about himself in the course of this interview segment. They're pretending like he needs to be fired now because of it. It's retarded. It has nothing in common with like the Kathy Griffin stuff. Kathy Griffin makes a video where she holds up the fake severed head of Donald Trump, and people are amused, I think, by it more than outraged, but they say, well, this is a chance to punish the hypocrite left. Now, we're going to try to get her advertisers to flee, get her off CNN, get her venues to cancel. And they did. It was successful. In the last 48 hours, she's basically hit rock bottom. She comes out, makes her crappy-ass apology where she blames everybody but herself, especially Trump, who barely weighed in on the situation. And people point out she was going to attack, 11-year-old Barron Trump explicitly in this whole thing and relish the thought of doing that. And so she's basically the wicked old stepmother archetype. And people punish her for it. Now her career is fundamentally, I think, over. She'll be like Paula Poundstone. Salon will have her on to get to weigh in on the occasional political issue to keep her off the bread line or something like that. They'll do that like Pervert Poundstone or something. They'll be having a bit comedy tour together pretty soon probably, and making out maybe, in all honesty. Ted Nugent comes out. His career was over in the 1980s basically anyway, other than being, it shows up at the NRA convention, I suppose. He makes vague comments towards Obama. That offends people, obviously. But Maher didn't do that. He's referring to himself. It's a totally different situation. It's like when you talk about the left versus the right in terms of trying to censor people, undercutting their advertisers and stuff. There's a big difference between the two. I've noticed it. They want to conflate the two. It's like when you look at being liberal or so on, they say, oh, they're the same thing. And these righties don't have a right to be offended because they're constantly complaining about the left being offended. Yes, look at the different classes of people, though, that are being targeted. The left and the corporate left media, like WAPO, they're targeting people like PewDiePie and JonTron who barely talk about politics, if ever, don't care about social issues. They do like gaming and entertainment. Those are the targets of the corporate neoliberals. The targets of the right are within the context of irony. They're going after Kathy Griffin, not because most of these people aren't even offended by her content. It was just dumb. It wasn't offensive. They're going after her to teach the hypocrites on the left a lesson, the neoliberals. There's a big difference. She's an actual performer, puts herself out there to make these statements, to be a celebrity. John Trom, PewDiePie, they weren't doing that till they got attacked by the media itself. Now they're forced to respond. Big difference between the two. Happens to others all the time. Unless somebody's appointing themselves as some sort of social guru and making these statements within a comedic context or a political or social context or on the news or something, then they shouldn't be targeted. They're not branding themselves as anything other. Yeah, I entertain people. Maybe I made a political comment once that you thought was off color. And the funny part is, Maher is going to get attacked by the social justice warriors on the left, despite himself being a leftist. This is what he's been talking about for the better part of a decade. The far left is cannibalizing itself by pretending to be perpetually outraged and supporting censorship and vigilantism. That's what the far left now has devolved into. There's a reason even the neoliberals try to keep a little bit of distance between themselves and the Salons and Young Turks of the world. There's a reason why they try to do that, because they know it's going to make them look bad. Maher, he goes after religion all the time. He comes out and proclaims, but the liberals will never go after Islam, even though it does the same thing that they go after Christianity for. And he's right when he says this. He's actually a sane liberal. They don't realize he's their best friend. They should be taking his advice. They should let off trying to censor people and trying to undercut the advertise. I mean, Hannity's one thing. He's a public figure. That's okay. And it's also corporate media, so I don't give a fuck. But the left needs to stop attacking like internet personalities. It needs to stop attacking like independent media, because it makes it look bad. It makes it look like the flip, like the total reverse, like they're the squares of the 60s and the new right are like the hippies or something like that. They're going to lose so badly because they pretend to be progressive and really they're not. They don't care about progress. These lily white trust funders with their gated communities, they hang out with the one token black kid and then they think that makes them qualified to talk about like more white privilege, beating black people down, help the inner cities, praise Al Sharpton. It's retarded. They talk about Islam. They think it's above criticism. Well, Maher is the only one on the left that ever still criticizes it. They think he's a bigot for doing so, for pointing out the fucking obvious. So yeah, link in the description if you want to see his one off-the-cuff comment that caused so much outrage. But it's fake outrage. These people don't even care. They just want to screw around with somebody who doesn't toe the social justice warrior line. That's why I won't say such words on my channel. When you ask me, why don't you talk about the JQ? Yes, great way to get your channel destroyed. Yeah, there's a reason for such things. Also, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm going to talk about current events. I don't care about those specific types of social issues. And that's not the only one I don't care about. I don't care about any of the associated issues with it either. It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't have any bearing on my life. But when the social justice warriors are trying to censor people, that has bearing on the internet at large, and therefore me, in a more specific sense. When people on the left are cannibalizing other leftists, the last few sane liberals that still exist, that don't believe in censorship, don't believe in grinding people down for having an unpopular opinion or using a racial slur, yeah, that definitely affects our culture, I would say, to a fairly great degree. That's about all. Peace out.